Hello, friends. Happy New Year. It is actually now Monday, January 6th, and I just could not get my act together in the first in the first, 5 days of January to start this vlog. But that's okay. This vlog is going to be mainly dedicated to my read of War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy so that I can put this up on the 15th for my discussion of it, and to whoever would like to join me. um, I got a few responses that some people would like to join me, but not enough to officially make like a Goodreads group or anything. So we're just going to see what happens. If you've already read War and Peace, feel free to talk about it in the discussion, or in the comments below. See, I'm rusty at this. I'm going to put the book down because it's fairly heavy. I actually have already started this, and this discussion is going to just be through volume one. And I think there are four volumes, so I'm hoping that I can finish volume one within the first 2 weeks of the year. Right now, I'm only about 40 pages in, and we're just kind of getting a setup of the characters. And so I don't really know what to say about it yet. I do like it so far, though. I, I have been supplementing my physical reading with an audiobook version because the audiobook that I found is a different translation, and it doesn't require me to look in the footnotes for all the French that is interspersed in this, which is kind of pulling me out of the story a little bit. So the audiobook, good gosh, um, the audiobook is helping me with that. So I really like the audiobook, the narrator. He's doing a pretty seamless job of translating and translating the French, and also kind of interspersing the French too, but then he pretty much says what that means and makes it sound really conversational, so it doesn't sound like he's like flipping to the footnotes. So that's nice. But yeah, I so far it is starting out as kind of more of a parlor room type of a thing, which is more what I'm used to in my classics, and I like that. Once we get to the war portion of it, I'm not sure how I'll do, but so far it is grabbing me with, I like the character of Anna Pavlova. She seems like she's kind of the let's see. I kind of I'm trying to think of her as like the matriarch of the family, or it's not a family, but like the matriarch of all the people that are in this. She's kind of what's bringing everybody together, and I like her character so far. Um, yeah, some of the other characters, I'm a bit leery of them. Um, the little princess, which I forget her name at the moment, I think she's really real. Like, I like her, but she's also very like flighty, and but she's also really concerned about the war that her husband is going to be going to, which is, I mean, understandable. And she's pregnant, and her husband is going to leave her for a war. So I can understand why she would be a little bit dramatic at times. But yeah, other than that, that's really my only thoughts at the moment. I'm going to try to read a lot more of it today. I'm a little bit behind in my schedule that I wanted to be at this point. So I'm going to try to get a lot of that done today at work, on my breaks, and if I can listen to an audiobook today, we'll see. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'll talk to you when I have more thoughts. Okay, bye, friends. Hello, friends. It is update time. It is actually Wednesday, the 8th of January at this point, and I finished part one of volume one. Part one of volume one, which volume one has three parts, so I'm not that far in. Goodreads says I'm like 7%. So, hold on, coffee break. Okay, sorry. So, hold on, I'll put that down. So, part one was kind of a family drama, parlor room type thing. It was not at all comedic, so it wasn't really like an Oscar Wilde family, parlor room thing. But I really enjoyed that part. I would say that all the French interspersed with the text is really hard, because I don't read French. I've been listening to it on audiobook, and kind of following along in the actual text. And that is really helpful because that narrator just says the English and doesn't like say the pages and pages of French dialogue and then go back and say the English, you know what I mean? Which is good. But whenever I was actually just trying to physically read the book, I found that difficult to have to jump down to the footnotes to read the French. I mean, it wasn't horrible because if there was like a whole chunk that was French, I just had to jump down to do that one big section. But sometimes there would be footnotes for like a line of French text, and then it would go back to English, and then it would go back to French, and that was when it was really difficult. So that's kind of when I decided to go with an audiobook version as much as I can and just follow along in my actual book, which I would recommend if you decide to do an audiobook with this, because there are just so many names, and it's kind of, and obviously they're Russian names, so sometimes it's kind of hard to understand, if I'm just listening to it, who they're talking about, because they might change the name just a little bit and it'll be like a pet name. Uh, so that's a little bit difficult, but not the end of the world. So the main parts of part one, the main plot sort of, seems to be a kind of anticipation of war with Napoleon, and the kind of the dynamics going on around that, like everybody's talking about, is it a good idea, is it not a good idea? And then there is like a subplot that takes up a good majority, where a high ranking count is dying, and his illegitimate son is actually set to inherit his fortune, and his other two children, and somebody that is an heir, Prince Vasily. I don't think he's his son, but somehow he is considered an heir because Pierre, the illegitimate son, is illegitimate. He was originally supposed to be the heir for some reason, but he's not one of his sons. So I don't get that. Other than one of his daughters, whose name is like Mary or Anna or something. That's the hard part. Everybody's named Anna or Mary in this. Um, and she is actually possibly going to get something too. So Prince Vasily and Anna, I believe is her name, try to destroy the are trying to destroy the will in which Pierre is named the heir. Did you follow that? So I won't say what happens in case you haven't read this and you are still wanting to, but that is the kind of the family drama focus of part one, and I actually really enjoyed that. It was an interesting dynamic to watch how everybody interacted with each other in that moment. And Pierre is a really interesting character. I'm not sure whether I think that he is stupid or conniving, but he just, I definitely don't think I trust him, but I also don't know if he's just like kind of a bumbling fool, kind of. I don't know. It's hard to say yet because I'm only 7% in. But the other thing is that Tara from Buzzword Books, and I will leave her channel down below, she mentioned my little read along that is probably just going to be me and her in her January TBR. So I messaged her and was like, oh, good. Maybe we can like do a buddy read of it along with, whatever people decide to join me in this little read along challenge thingy. And that will hold me even more accountable to finishing this, and maybe we can, through actually talking about it together, can maybe get more of a grasp of what's going on. So we decided we're going to read this together, which is awesome. I won't hold her to it if she decides that she really doesn't like it, but she said that she was going to start it last night, so I'm going to check in with her today and see if she was able to get it started and what she's thinking so far. So fingers crossed that she doesn't hate it and she will continue reading it with me, because I think that would really help me out. But anyway, I'm going to finish my coffee and get to work, and I'm hoping I spaced it out, and in order to finish volume 1, and that's all 3 parts of volume 1, by the 15th, when this video is supposed to go out, I need to only read 36 pages per day, which I think is totally doable. It's totally doable. So, wish me luck, though, because it is really small print in my actual copy. So, I'm going to try to listen to a lot of it today and see how far I can get. So, yeah, that's all my thoughts for now. All right, I will talk to you when I finish something else significant. All right, bye, friends. Hello, friends. It is much, much later, and it is now actually Tuesday morning, the 14th of January. So the day before I need to put up this little video. So I have finished volume 1 of War and Peace, actually earlier than I thought I would, which I'm not really sure why, because I had all of my pages marked out. So I must have read more and not really realized it. But anyway, I finished this actually yesterday, not finished the book, finished this first section here. So that's kind of cool. I finished that yesterday at work, and I have all the volumes marked out here. But this is where I'm at. And yeah, this is pretty impressive that I feel like I'm this far in already. I have been listening to it on audiobook. The narrator is just pretty good. Some of his voice choices are a little awkward, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't really care, because at least it differentiates the characters for me, because there are a lot of characters, as I've probably said already in this vlog. But my initial impressions after reading the first volume is that I'm really actually enjoying it. I'm still having a little bit of a hard time keeping track of the characters, especially the women characters, but it's getting easier. And I think the more that I focus on who I really feel is important and who's going to ultimately be important through the rest of the book. Sorry, I had to cut out coughing because every time I film a video, I have to cough. But anyway, it does say on the back of the book a little bit who the main characters you need to focus on are, but there are also some like more minor characters that I still feel like are going to be relatively important to the overall plot. So, right now, I don't really have a favorite character, which is a little off putting for me. Like, I feel like there should be somebody in here that I'm rooting for, but I don't really have that person yet. The men in this, while they get like an awful lot of screen time, page time, I don't really feel like I like like any of them. I think the most interesting one that is probably my favorite of the male characters so far is Pierre, um, which he is one of the main characters, and he is a rogue, and I kind of feel like an idiot. I don't know if he's just kind of playing that role and if he's really like cunning or and he's like really a bad guy or if he really just doesn't understand things. Like he is the illegitimate son of a count, and he ultimately through some kind of sketchy dealings or some sketchy things on his father's part, maybe not sketchy, but in that day and age they were probably kind of like a no, he becomes the heir. And then but he's like kind of a he falls in with bad crowds and he's kind of a follower, and he doesn't really understand that people don't like him, but that whenever he all of a sudden becomes the count and gets all the money, he suddenly everybody kind of likes him, which is interesting. Um, but and then he doesn't really understand that either. Like he kind of just thinks everybody's sincere and that everybody really likes him. Um, but anyway, he's just kind of funny, I think, because the situations that he gets into are pretty ridiculous at times, and I kind of feel like he's the comic. What's the word I'm looking for? Comic effect or whatever in the book at this point. Um, but he also is going to play a key role, I can tell. So, so yeah, he is probably like my favorite character at this point of the men. Anyway, um, Anna Pavlovna, I liked her initially, and I still like her, but she isn't getting as much page time as I initially thought she would. She's kind of just the matriarch, sort of, and she does kind of push people along, but she is not really as important, I don't think, as I originally thought. Maria or Mary seems to be more important. Natasha is definitely going to be, although I feel like we're not really seeing a ton of her in volume one. Um, and Lise, who is the wife of Anatole, another key figure, is going to be very important, I think. And she is pregnant at the moment, and she's pregnant from the beginning, but she's pregnant through all of volume one, unless I've missed something. But I don't think I did. I think she's still pregnant. So, and she is kind of flighty, I feel like. She's a little bit annoying, but at the same time, I can understand why, because she's pregnant with her first child to a man who kind of doesn't really seem to love her that much, and but yet her whole life is going to be revolving around him. And then he decides that he's going to leave and go to war, and right before she gives birth. So I can see where she's would be a little bit upset, and but she just kind of goes a little overboard. That's the one thing I'm noticing in Tolstoy is his women characters just seem very uh they're either like very very emotional or like almost have no soul. Like they're just like they're either like black and white, this is how it is, deal with it, or they're just, oh, woe is me. Oh, my life is so hard. So, but, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that Tara from, oh geez, why did I will put her channel name below because for some reason I am completely blanking on her channel name this early in the morning. We both kind of simultaneously were like, I don't understand why all these Russian people are speaking French. I don't really know much about this time period, so I was like, I don't understand why there's so much French, but yet everyone is against Napoleon. So why would they be speaking French? So we Googled it, and it appears that French was kind of like the in thing among aristocrats in Russia, like right before Napoleon started all this crap, and so like once and I guess I looked at in the book or in the on online that at this point, Tolstoy is kind of making fun of the Russian aristocracy because these people are still speaking French while criticizing Napoleon, and he's kind of trying to say how out of touch the Russian aristocracy is with what's going on in the world. So I found that really interesting. And yeah, Tara and I were both like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. So I love how just reading things that are in a setting that you're not familiar with or a time period that you're not familiar with, if you really take the time, it teaches you something. So that's been a really cool part. And actually reading this book has kind of made me want to research a little bit about the Napoleonic Wars and about Napoleon and about the Russian involvement in the war. So yeah, so I might be going on a bit of a rabbit hole at some point. So we'll see. But anyway, I don't want this to be too long, so I am going to end it here. Tell me in the comments if you are joining along with our little mini unofficial read along of War and Peace. And even if you aren't and you've already read War and Peace, tell me like your initial thoughts whenever you were reading this book. If you enjoyed it, who your favorite characters were, if there is anyone to root for by the end of this. But don't give any spoilers. I mean, I know this is full of spoilers, but don't give any spoilers for the rest of the book. You know what I mean? But like, you can be vague, but you know. But anyway, yeah, I would like to hear what your initial thoughts on Volume 1 are if you are participating with us. And I will see you in a couple of weeks with hopefully Volume 2 and my thoughts on that. And actually, one of my 2020 resolutions was to annotate more. I have not been. I think because I've been reading a lot of it via audiobook. So my goal for volume 2 is to actually read along more and annotate more, because there were a few like lines and things in volume 1 that I either thought were funny or like poignant or something like that that I should have been marking and I didn't. So that is my one poo-poo on me, you know. So yeah, I am going to try to make a better effort in the future to annotate this. So I'm going to take a couple days off from reading it so I can get some other books done. And then I'll be right back into it, and I will see you guys on, I think it's the 29th of January for volume 2. All right, friends, I'll talk to you later. Bye.